Hello guys, Luke here and welcome back to another video on my channel. Now over the next few days I'm going to be going over State of Origin, in particular the teams. Now I'm going to start off by doing the New South Wales teams and just going through and giving my thoughts on every player individually, go one by one, starting with the fullback, and just do a quick little comment and then move on to the next player, and then I'll do Queensland, and then I'll kind of talk a little bit more about State of Origin as it gets a little bit closer. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Now we're going to start off with the fullback. It is James Tedesco, and I'm pretty happy about this this selection. I know he wasn't a lock-in, but I think he kind of should have been a lock-in. I mean, I know there's Moylan and Dugan, who are other contenders and that, but I think in terms of this side, they need a James Tedesco. He can win a game. He's very, very good. I know he's not in great form, but he plays for the Tigers. Like, who is in good form at the Tigers? At least he has a go every week. But yeah, I'm very, very happy with the selection of James Tedesco, and I can't really think of anybody else who should have been picked over him. On one wing, we have Blake Ferguson, and to be honest, I don't really like Blake Ferguson the person, but him as a winger, I think he's actually a pretty solid winger. And in rep games, like in those big games, he seems to step up, so that's really good for New South Wales. He's been there and done the job before, and he's actually played good in Origin. He's played well for Australia on the wing, and I'm actually okay with that selection, weirdly enough. Moving on to his centre partner in the number 3, it is Josh Dugan. It's pretty funny to think that not that long ago, maybe like 5 years ago, they were sitting on top of a roof sipping on some cruisers, and now they're playing Origin together. But I think Josh Dugan, I think he does deserve his spot. I know he's not a centre, and you know, you can argue that there's other better centres out there. I mean, your Jack Birds and Dylan Walkers and stuff, pretty unlucky not to make the side, but I do think he does deserve a go in the centres. I mean, he did play for Australia in the centres, and he has been playing very, very well in those games when he's been playing centre as well. So, like, you just think back to the game he played against the Kiwis. He was on fire before he got injured. So, I'm not disappointed to see Josh Dugan in the centres, although it would have been nice to have seen an actual centre, but he's been doing a pretty good job there. Moving on to the other centre, it's another player playing out of position. Now, I know Jared Hayne has actually been playing centres the last few weeks for the Titans, but we all know he's a fullback. But yeah, this one's been a bit of a controversial one with a lot of fans. Me personally, I don't think it's that controversial. I mean, he's been there in the past. I think he might have even played centre for New South Wales before, but he's played centre for Australia. He's also played on the wing and that sort of stuff. So he's not like, he does play fullback, but he can play other positions. We all know that. Obviously, he spent some time out of the game, and since he's come back, he hasn't been the player that he was. However, I think that he's one of those players, kind of like the Justin Hodges and the Greg Inglis, that even if they aren't playing like outstanding in club games, that when Origin comes around, they seem to just step up and take it to another level. And I feel like Jared Hayne will do that. I think this might be one of the best things Jared Hayne, one of the best things to happen to Jared Hayne this season is Origin comes around, gets to move in and kind of just show what he's got, show what he's made of, show if he still has it. And I think he'll do a great job out in the centres. Also, just the fact that they kind of have this aura about him, like what will he do? What can Jared Hayne do? We know he's freakish with the ball when he's on, and I think just having that in mind when he has the ball, like the defenders, you just don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen with Jared Hayne, and I think that might be enough to sort of, even if he doesn't do it, at least he might be able to get a pass off or an offload away to someone else who can do it, just due to the fact that so many people are drawing attention to Jared Hayne having the ball. I think I'm pretty happy with Hayne in the centres. Another player making their return to the team, and it's Brett Morris. Now, he didn't play last year. I think he was injured, or at least he got injured just beforehand, so he kind of wasn't really in the mix. But there's actually been a lot of injuries on the wings for the New South Wales side. You probably would have seen a Mansour or a Trbojevic or someone like that on the wing, but due to the injuries, we now see Brett Morris return, and I gotta say, I'm pretty happy about that. I love Brett Morris. Obviously, I'm a Bulldog supporter, so there's some bias there, but I've always loved Brett Morris, and in the past, he's done a great job for New South Wales. You think back to 2014, him and Josh pretty much putting their body on the line. Brett, like, he played a game injured, and Josh obviously did that rundown with the ruptured ACL or whatever it was, but both the Morris boys, they always step up for Origin. I think in particular, Josh used to step up a lot in Origin, but Brett, obviously an Australian winger in the past, New South Wales winger in the past, he's got a lot of experience, and I think he will get the job done. He's not the player he was a few years ago, but he's still good enough in my opinion. Moving on to the halves, we'll start off with the number 6, James Maloney, and I think this one picks itself. I think this one, it was easy selection. I can't think of anybody else who you would have selected ahead of James Maloney. He's just he's been playing pretty well this year, and even like if he wasn't playing pretty well, I think he still should have deserved his spot. I mean, he won the premiership last year. He's a winner. That's what he is, and you want those sort of players in your side. I know he is a bit of a defensive liability at times. It does give away a few penalties, but I think he can be. I think he is the right man for the number 6. Now moving on to his halves partner. Now this one is another one that's a bit controversial. Mitchell Pearce. Say what you want about him, but he is playing some pretty good football right at this moment. And it's funny, you think back to 2014, he lost his spot due to an off-field incident. And I kind of feel that the last one, the one where he tried to root the dog or whatever, I think that might have been maybe the best thing for his footballing career, and also like just his life in general. Obviously, he hit rock bottom, but he seems to have come back a changed man. I know that seems to be said a lot about all these bad boys or whatever, but I feel like Mitchell Pearce actually genuinely like has changed off the field, and he's benefiting from it on the field as well. I think he's been outstanding since he stepped back on the field last year. I remember thinking Roosters were way better side with him on the park, like so much better. They actually looked like a threat, and this year it's kind of been proven. Luke Keary's obviously doing a good job in the number 6, but Mitchell Pearce, he's running the show at the Roosters, and hopefully he can run the show in Origin for New South Wales. He hasn't shown in the past that he can do it, but I think, what is he, like 26, 27 now? He's kind of reaching that point where if there's going to be a time where he's going to do it, it's got to be right now. And I think this time, in the past, he's kind of been selected sometimes purely based off his name. I think right now he is 100% the best halfback New South Wales has got. Now moving on to the forwards, we're going to start off with the props. It's Aaron Woods, he's the first one, he's number 8. And I got to say, like, he's kind of one of those players over the years, he's been hyped up so much that he was overrated, but he's almost underrated now due to the fact that people shit on him so much and say he's like one of the worst props in the game and stuff. Like, he's not one of the worst props in the game. It's not a coincidence that he gets picked for these Origin teams and Australian teams all the time, and he's got a big contract next year. Aaron Woods is a good player. Is he like the best prop in the game? No, I don't think so, but he still is a very good player, and I do think he does deserve his spot in the side. He's not one of those like destroyers, like I'm sort of thinking of like the props, like, you know, like the Clemens and stuff, like the Ruru Hargreaves, who are just like big boppers and smash people and all that. Like, he's a different style of player. The Aaron Woods actually can do that a little bit, but he's just more of a meter eater, and I kind of that does go against him a lot of times because people see him as just a stats man. And I mean, with him and Paul Gallen in the side, 2 stats guys, didn't really work out. But there's no Gallen, so maybe Woods will be okay this year. Now we're going to be moving on to the hooker position, and oh my god, we actually have a new hooker. I thought for sure Robbie Farah was going to get picked, and it turns out Peter Wallace was actually going to get picked, which is kind of weird to me. I know he's been going alright, but I think Nathan Peats is definitely the right man for the job. He's probably the future of the number 9 position, and I think over the years he's done a pretty good job. I mean, if he can get injuries out of his way, he would be like a lock-in for the New South Wales spot every year. But unfortunately, injuries are actually a real thing, and he does get quite a lot of them. But he is fit right now. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he doesn't get injured during Origin or anything. But yeah, I can't believe Robbie Farah didn't get picked. I don't want Robbie Farah to get picked, but I thought Laurie Daly would 100% pick him. But I'm very happy. I'm surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised, actually. And yeah, I'm glad to see Nathan Peats in the side. I think it's a well-deserved call. Now, the other starting prop is Andrew Fafita, and we saw last year in the grand final, he can win a game, and he did win the game in the grand final. Whether you want to debate it or not, he was probably the best player in the game, at least like the top 3. He missed out on selection for the Four Nations team, but he did earn a recall in the past, the Anzac Test, or whatever it's called now, just Australia versus New Zealand a few weeks ago. And I think Andrew Fafita is one of these players where when he's unstoppable. In Origin, he hasn't showed that so far, but I think he definitely has earned his place back in the New South Wales side. Now, on to the second rowers. This first one, I really don't understand the hate for him. It's Josh Jackson. Now, I'm a Bulldog supporter, so there is some bias in my opinion on him, but I think he's an incredible player. He does get the plaudits by the people who matter, but in terms of fans, they really do not rate Josh Jackson. I think they just see him as, I don't know, just a dude who kind of tackles alright, like just an average mediocre player, and I think he's so much better than that. For the Bulldogs, I know he's quite versatile. He throws pretty good passes. He can offload. He plays 80 minutes. He can tackle. He's one of the best tacklers in the game. He does give away some silly penalties every now and again, and there are some errors, like he does drop the ball every now and again. But there's not really too many games where I sit back and I think, Josh Jackson, that was a shit game. Most of the time it's, oh my god, Josh Jackson is having a great game today. And that's what you want in Origin. You do want those game changes, that's fine and all, but you also do want players who are super consistent. Now, I know the whole argument that there's other second rows who also are kind of similar, like Wade Graham and stuff like that, who you think should start. But I think out of the second rows, I think Josh Jackson is one of those players who should be a starter. I don't think he'll have any impact off the bench. Now we move on to the other second row, and it's the captain. It's Boyd Cordner, the new captain. He's taken over from Paul Gallen, and I think he's the right man for the job in terms of captaincy. And also, I think he's probably the best second rower in the game at the moment. Now, you could argue like Matt Gillett or someone, but I think, yeah, he's so good. Also, I think a combination between Mitchell Pearce and him will work really well. It has in club footy. And I think Boyd Cordner, he just gets better every year, and that's what you want to see in those players, especially someone who's going to be the captain of your state for the next, at least 5 years probably, probably longer, because I expect him to be around for a long time. But yeah, Boyd Cordner, I think he was a lock-in. Obviously he's the captain, so he's going to be a lock-in. But yeah, I'm very, very happy with Boyd Cordner in the number 12. Can't wait to see what he does this Origin series. Now at lock, we have Tyson Frizzell, and he was actually a surprise packet for me last year. We knew he was a good player. We didn't know how good he actually was, and last year he stepped up so much. He was so good. Who can forget like the chase down? I think it was on Gagai. He like nearly got him. It was like this close to getting him, and that just shows that's the sort of determination, that's what you want to see in Origin, those sort of plays. Now I know he didn't get him, but the fact that he put in that effort, he made that chase down. It's one of those ones, like Thurston gets talked about a lot, like never gives up on the play, and Tyson Frizzell showed that. And also the fact that he's such a gun player with the ball. I really, really rate Tyson Frizzell, I really do, and I'm very happy to see him in the starting side. Now we move on to the bench, and I think it's actually a pretty strong bench, to be honest with you, but we're going to start off with a number 14, Jack Bird. Now he's obviously the utility player of the lot. He can play in the forwards, he can play in the backs, he can play in the halves. He's sort of the player you want Origin, and I think he really is an Origin player. We saw in the grand final he played with an injury, and last year he played in State of Origin. He did a great job when he came on. He actually had made an impact when he came on as well, so that was nice to see. He's actually pretty unlucky to not be in the starting side, somewhere in there, in Sanders in particular, but yeah, I think Jack Bird, great selection on the bench. In the number 15, we have Cronulla's Wade Graham. Obviously won the premiership last year with Cronulla and played a pretty big part in it. He also did make his Origin debut last year, and it's just one of those ones where you can't fit everybody into the starting side, but if he was in the starting side, wouldn't look out of place. And I really rate Wade Graham, and I think he's another player who has quite a bit of versatility on the bench there, so I'm pretty happy. Out of the second rows, I think he's most suited to the bench. Now on to the number 16. It's one of my personal favourites. It's Big Clem, David Clemmer from the Bulldogs. Absolutely love Big Clemmer, and he's sort of going back to that role off the bench. I thought he might have got a starting gig like he did for the Australian team, but he's coming off the bench, and I think that is the best spot for him. Come on against the tired forwards or up against the Queensland bench forwards. Imagine him up against like the Nate Miles and Jacob Lillimans of the Queensland side. I think he's going to run right over those guys, and I think that's also where New South Wales are going. Like, that's where they're going to go well this year. Just the fact that Queensland's props, I don't think, are that good when you take out like the Matt Scotts who aren't there this year, and you add in the fact that just how big the size of these props. David Clemmer doesn't get any bigger than him. He's massive, and he's so hard to stop. Like, you very rarely see anyone stop David Clemmer 1-on-1, let alone 2-on-1. 3-on-1, 4-on-1, that's kind of the average. You see a lot of 4-on-1s, and they just can't get him to the ground. So I'm very happy to see David Clemmer, and he's one of those players who's made for Origin, and hopefully he gets in there and has a go. And the last player on the bench is Jake Trbojevic, and he's been a great player. He's fantastic. If his brother didn't get injured, you probably would have seen both of them in the side. But I'm very happy to see Jake in the side. He's a great player, and he has been for a few years now. I remember seeing him make his debut a few years back, I think maybe 2014, and just right from get-go, you could see this dude was going to be a star, and he's been very, very good for Manly this year, and I expect to see him in the side for a long, long time. Off the bench, I don't know if we'll see him off the bench in a few years, but I think he might be a bit of a starter soon. But yeah, I'm pretty happy to see Djurjevic in the side. Now, there's actually been 3 extra players named in an extended bench. The first player is Jordan McLean in number 18. I'll be honest, I don't really understand this selection. I know he was also like 18th man for Australia. Like, I feel like I'm missing something in Jordan McLean. Like, I'm not saying he's not a bad player, but is he really like the next in line in terms of the props? Like, I feel like this, like, surely there's some other players, Junior Paulos and stuff like that. Paul Vaughan, like, he's another one. Like, they're quite unlucky to actually miss out on the team, let alone like an extended bench. But yeah, I wouldn't have picked Jordan McLean. Now, in the number 19, we have Matty Moylan, and I'm pretty happy he's not in the main side, in the actual side, but I'm okay with him being in the squad. He probably is the second best fullback that New South Wales has got. But put it this way, I hope we don't see him at any point during the series. And rounding out the extended bench in number 20 is Jack de Belin. Now, this actually, it's funny thinking back to a few years ago where I really hated Jack de Belin, and honestly, I think a lot of that was due to the man bar, I'm not going to lie. But he's actually a really, really good player now. He's turned into a really, really good player, and a lot of those players in the Dragons forward pack, they're kind of unlucky to miss out. Like, I've already talked about Paul Vaughan just briefly, but yeah, de Belin's another one who unlucky to miss out. But I mean, who do you replace him? Like, who would you like put him in for? I don't know. But yeah, Jack de Belin, really good player, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him playing for New South Wales in the next few years. So we've now gone through the whole squad, 1 to 20, and as you can tell by the fact that I didn't have too many negatives to say about the team, I'm pretty happy with the team. And that's not just me because I'm a New South Wales fan. I've shit on the teams in the past. This year isn't one of them. I'm really liking the team. I'm liking the direction they're going with. I feel like it's got a good mix of youth and experience, size and skill, and it's just, I feel like it's a good, solid team. Obviously, Queensland's got the more superstars in terms of they've got the, still got Cooper Cronk and Cameron Smith and all that, but in terms of a squad overall, I do feel New South Wales has the better squad. Whether it sort of translates to the team being better, I don't know, but I'm pretty darn excited to see what this New South Wales team can do, and I think it's going to be a pretty similar team over the next probably 4 or 5 years. There's probably not too many changes coming in. Anyway, guys, that is the end of the video. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Make sure you leave in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on the team? Is there anyone you would have picked instead of someone else? Are you happy with the side? Do you not like the side? Even if you want to give your quick thoughts on the Queensland one, even though I'm going to be going through their team in the next few days. But yeah, I'm happy with the side. Are you happy with the side? Let me know. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, make sure you go ahead and leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It's at Mr. Luke on YT. My Facebook page is in the description below as well. And yeah, I'm very, very excited for State of Origin. Expect to see a lot more content from me over the Origin period. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.